Hi, well, it's Dr. Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas. And in this video, we're going to talk about the pain and consequence of having narcissistic parents. Now, research has shown increased depression and lower self-esteem in those children with narcissistic parents. If you grew up in such an environment with this type of parenting or parent, you're likely to have internalized many issues and typically a lot of childhood occurrences. In this video, we're going to discuss those issues and occurrences that increase your likelihood of developing depression and low self-esteem. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a suggestion to help you push back on the internalized parent. So remember, knowledge is power. So let's get into it. And please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. And let's go. Narcissism is typically a maladaptive coping strategy of grandiosity that is designed to compensate for feelings of inadequacy. Parenting is hard, right? But when you're combating inner feelings of inadequacy, you tend to resort to these maladaptive behaviors that erode the child's sense of self, their ability to explore their environment in a very confident way, and develop healthy relationships due to having a distorted or unhealthy model in which to work off of, right? So they don't have that template or that schema in order to build that self-esteem, confidently explore their environment, and develop those healthy relationships. Now, these issues, they create these undercurrents you feel of sadness, hopelessness, distrust in yourself, uncertainty about your ability, and so many other beliefs, behaviors, and patterns that came out of your childhood experience. Now, I'm going to go over 3 common antecedents and outcomes of depression and low self-esteem for children of narcissists. Now, the first is growing up in a shaming and blaming environment for typical childhood errors or mistakes. This is like dropping a glass or making a mess. This creates distortions of yourself, and you likely commonly feel that you don't have the right to exist as you truly are. You feel like you don't know or are unworthy of being your authentic self. And what happens is in your developmental environment, because you make these typical childhood errors, mistakes, whatever it is that all of us make, but that narcissistic parent has this distorted, maladaptive view that their child is not supposed to make any mistakes, any errors. So they don't allow for that margin of growth and errors and mistakes so that you can learn from them. And you don't have that confident backing from the parent in order to build that self-esteem to help you go forward and be like, yep, you know what? I messed up, but I'm going to go forward, because it's everybody drops a glass. Everybody makes a mess. And you learn from that and going forward. In that narcissistic parental environment, you don't learn that. You learn that you're broken, you're a failure, that they're all due to these characterological imperfections. That's why you dropped the glass. That's why you made the mess. So, and it's a very false belief, right? But over time, you internalize it and you believe it. Now, the next one, this is needing to be a physically fit and perfectly healthy looking child or young adult. This is not fat or childhood chubbiness is allowed. However, most, if not all kids have fat or chubbiness. It's normal. And this early shaming tends to create the practice of physical self-loathing that takes the form of overeating, anorexia, or bulimia. So even those typical developmental presentations, right, of chubbiness or having a little fat that all of us had, right, because we kind of need it as little kids because it helps us grow and develop. But when it's used against us, because the narcissistic parent has to have that perfect, beautiful child, otherwise it is a negative reflection on them and how they present themselves. So it gets internalized. And certainly the media, right, and TV and social media, they add to all of this. And I think that we see this historically in young girls particularly, that we see this presentation of this idealized thin body with particular presentations and features. But what we're seeing also is that men are catching up. Boys are catching up to that, because now all the boys have to have a body like Thor, right? Or the Hulk, right? You have to be ripped and big and all this other stuff. So these become internalized schemas or beliefs that are maladaptive and unhealthy. And they come from this narcissistic parenting that gets internalized. And that's a big, big problem, right? And it adds to depression and low self-esteem. Lastly, all partners, employers, or friends who like you are inferior. And if you like someone, like romantically, professionally, or platonically, there must be something wrong with them. Or they'd know that you are defective and they would stay away from you. And what happens is this creates that self-destructive cycle that causes poor job performance and unsteady interpersonal and professional relationships. So in many ways, it's a push to gravitate towards unhealthy relationships where their partner may demean them, where their partner may put them on a very similar response cycle, which is sometimes it's very degrading, sometimes it's very deriding. But even though it's unhealthy, and in some level you know that, right? But there's something comfortable about it. Now, comfortable doesn't mean good or healthy. What comfortable means is it's something you're used to. It's not out of the ordinary for you. So it fits into your comfort zone, because comfort zones can be unhealthy as well. Now, many of these occurrences become internalized over time, and you develop inner critics, family in the head, and shaming cycles that result in depressive episodes and low self-esteem. This is not hopeless, though you may have been taught that it is and that change isn't possible. Now, it takes work, and that's hard work and consistent work over time, but you can totally do it. It is possible to do it. And what you want to do is to combat that inner parent and pain and consequence. And I want you to align with yourself. Now, what this means is that you train yourself to say positive things to yourself and be your own champion, be your own cheerleader. You have to push back on that inner voice and that inner critic and that family in the head. And I'm telling you, do it over and over and over again. We are adaptive beings as human beings, right? So what we tell ourselves over and over again, and the experiences that we have that are cyclical, meaning that we experience them over and over again, they become internalized and we believe them. So if it can happen for the negative, it can also happen for the positive. Now, while you're working to get better and you're saying these positive things for yourself, it's not that easy, because that old maladaptive belief, behavior, and pattern, that inner critic, family in the head, it's going to keep popping up. It's going to keep saying stuff to you, right? To try to bring you back to that homeostasis, that level that you're used to. So I want you to resist the urge to self-shame and blame. Don't do it. Find the encouragement. Make a mistake. So what? Learn from it, right? The most successful people in history have made mistakes. Everybody does. Learn from them and come back stronger. And you can do it. It's totally possible. It starts with self-alignment and self-encouragement. Is this easy? No. Will this help you? Absolutely. Stay the course, stay strong, and like, share, and subscribe. And thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye.